For me, it actually does go back to this is a way of thinking, and there is a kind of a comfort and I think what the right word is. There is that bit of having that sort of really firm underpinning of these are ways I've worked for a long time. Now I've got the evidence to know why they work. And also knowing if you do that and that in that combination with that, it will have more of an impact. And that's what I like at kind of the theoretical bits. So it gives you a kind of intellectual discipline that you can kind of almost run through a sort of checklist and thinking, have we got the right people in the room? How are we reaching others? Are we thinking of different conversations? And there are things we did before, but it gives us that useful extra kind of grounding, extra checklist, which is probably the nerdy bit of the way I am. I think, and that part of it is still stuff that I use. The other bit I really liked right from the beginning and still like is the examples of people who are change agents and who are making change happen. And well, in addition to the kind of the live parts last year, I like those kind of guest slots and people talking about how they were, the way they'd worked through change and what they were doing. And again, it's that sort of linking the kind of the theory and the practice, and each one informing the other. So those are bits that I've liked of it. The parts that colleagues have used is very naturally linking to it being a way of sharing and a way of disseminating and a way of learning and using what other people are doing. So they link to u.lab, but it's also part of us linking to much wider audiences. So just this week there was something that had come through about ageing and stigma and discrimination on grounds of age and some international work. And we've linked the work that we're doing, and I've put out a blog saying, this is really exciting and here's stuff that we're doing that we, in a very small way, is contributing in how we're trying to tackle ageism and the discrimination older people face. Which is back to the projects that we got that came out of the work we did through u.lab. And that's a kind of u.lab-y type thing. And we will now have people who we follow on Twitter and they follow us who will pick up on this, and it just links those kind of connections we've got around older people and challenging discrimination and creating more opportunities for rainbow families and lots of bits of we're doing through work with people who are themselves part of making change happen in a kind of good wider community, people wanting to have positive social change in Scotland and in other parts of the world. So that still feels part of a kind of wider family. Yeah. I hope they're things we would have done anyway. I think it's maybe upped the scale of it or up the reach of it. Give an example. The topic that we were kind of concerned with was about older people and the way in which if the older people we were working with through the project was funded through the Qualities Grant, we knew older people were very clear that what they wanted was small scale, very local supports that enable you to continue as part of your community, be well, stay out of hospital, stay connected with your friends, so preventative stuff. And when you do need a bit of extra support, including for example if you had a spell in hospital and were coming home, again it's that very local, practical, on the ground stuff. The evidence is that when you do that, it has much higher levels of satisfaction, is at least as effective as the conventional stuff, and often more effective, and costs much less. And yet as a society we don't fund that, we put most of our resources into existing services. So how do you get that kind of shift, and how do you have older people explaining why they want the things that we do? So when we were doing the u.lab stuff, the strand that ran alongside that was we also put out a kind of general call and said, tell us what you think would be part of a good community for you? What does a community that works well for older people look like and feel like? And people told us things, some of which were ones we expected and some of which were ones we completely didn't expect, which is the joy of talking to people and saying, how does life look for you? That fed into several things. We had already started, just about the time u.lab was actually starting, we'd started talking to Big Lottery about the possibility of a grant application under a UK programme. And they said, you can do this, but you need to talk to other people. And they put us in touch with some people in Wales. And where we've got to now is, one of the things we did was put in an application to them for a development grant. So for the last year, we've been working in a development project that's led to a big application, and if that comes off, it will be a 5-year project, looking at how it works for older people in rural communities, which tend to get quite kind of left behind. And that was becoming really, really clear from those conversations we were having about how it works for people in any community, but particularly the challenges for older people in rural communities. So much of those conversations became the evidence that we were using to back up and support that application. So that was good. Those conversations also highlighted a gap again we'd seen around older people and mental health and well-being, and how older age is the time in our lives when we're most likely to have mental health problems, and we are least likely to get access, certainly to NHS resources and often other resources as well. So what we've started doing, and again that's we've been lucky, we've got another 1-year qualities grant to do that, is beginning to bring together conversations. And I think what u.lab helped us do is have different conversations. So less of the conventional ones and trying to have different ones. So the tips we've given out to people on how to have conversations is very clearly say, get a different mix of people in the room. Give them tea and cakes. Why not go for a walk? Just go for a walk and talk about it. Just get to understand each other. Don't rush to come to a conclusion. It's how you get to know each other, how you understand each other, how you hear where each other's coming from and understand the problems better, rather than argue about why aren't there more resources, but just talk to each other, understand it. And out of that, you might come up with some ideas for, it's prototyping, but we're not calling it that, we're just saying, why don't you talk to each other, have a cup of tea, have a chat, have a walk. And out of that, try and do this. And we'll follow up with you. And by about Easter time, we'll maybe start kind of pulling this together and get people to talk about it together and share ideas. And as you tell us your ideas, we will share them on the website and do that. And it's all mini u.lab, but they don't know that. But that's what it is, using those kind of approaches.
Yeah. You're not using the u.lab language necessarily.
No, but it's the ideas, and we know they're underpinned.
Everything's underpinned.
Another way, we had a project, again it happens to be older people and it happens to be mental health and well-being in Borders, and we'd started off doing it in a fairly conventional way. Conventional for innovative projects type way, if that makes sense. And it wasn't working. So we thought, right, we've got to find a different way of doing it. And I think one of the things I got from u.lab was just, find the new approach, find a different way of getting people to come together and have a conversation. So rather than doing what we'd said we were going to do, we are now having a series of happiness habits cafes. Don't talk about mental health and well-being, come along and talk about happiness habits, which are ways you have good mental health and well-being. And we're still, it's just given us a different route to getting to where we needed to be. But it is that bit about try something different, and if that doesn't work, hey, it's okay, we'll try something different. And then we went back to the funder and said, it didn't quite work, but we've tried something different and this is how it's working, and they were quite happy. But I think it is that kind of almost that courage to just be a bit more relaxed about, even within doing innovative things, it's not working, so Can we find a way of doing it better? Can we explore and try something new? And I think just definitely be more relaxed about it, and take people along with you. And so far it's working. Again, being doing it live and feeling part of something bigger was good. I think it is actually something that's quite valuable, and I'm conscious that a lot of the people we work with are themselves often quite isolated, and having something, and it's why we've encouraged quite a lot of people to look at u.lab and to use it. But even watching the recording of the live session, if that makes sense, gives people that sense of, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. And I think for people who are really struggling with change, and they feel they're the only one at that point that thinks that way, knowing that there are other people, even if they're making change in different contexts, that sense of being part of something bigger and wider, I think is hugely important and hugely reassuring and comforting for lots of us who I think everyone, when you're trying to make change happen and support change happening, everyone has that point where you feel, I'm on my own and this is really lonely and this is really hard, and that sense of, no, you're not the only one that's doing it. Lots of other people also are finding it hard, so it's not just you. It's hard because I used to work for someone who said it's hard because it's hard. And but that's why they need us. You know, if it was easy, they wouldn't need us. We're here because it's hard, and there is that sense of, okay, this is hard, and that's why we keep at it. But also that sense of other people are saying, oh, I was there, and if you keep at it, it begins to come right. So that reassurance, and I think that part of something bigger, is hugely important for people who are trying to make change happen. Oh, I think every day I'm at every point with you. Yeah, no, for me, it's every day, every week, you're at every part of it, on different things, on the same thing. I think what is helpful is that bit about being able to always use the you as part of the language, or as part of explaining to people, you know, why this feels difficult, and being able to say, well, think of this as a journey, and now you can draw this nice U, and now you've kind of sense got to go down before you go up. Well, maybe the reason you're finding it hard is you're about here, and you know, what would it take to have a different understanding, or what would help you move that up, and what would help you start trying something different. So I think even just that addition to the language, addition to the way of explaining things is I think a large part of our work is trying to make complicated things simple, and anything that makes complicated things simple is a blessing and a help, a good thing to have. Definitely making contacts with other people, people you met at events, or people you've got in touch with or followed up with through all sorts of things, social media, meeting them, other stuff. And that's led to some really interesting ideas, conversations we had about things, where you then follow that up with someone else. And those contacts and connections have been great. For Outside the Box, one of the best things that came out of it was Sandra Shafi, who's now on our board, and I met Sandra at the u.lab event when it was all hot and crowded. So we went outside to sit and have a breath of fresh air, and then talked longer about what we were doing as an organisation, what she was doing professionally, but also what she was doing in her life. And she was just about to retire from the health board, and I then got in touch with her and said, "Do you fancy meeting for coffee, but would you like to go on our board? Because you're looking for something new to do, and we could do with someone with your enthusiasm and passion and excitement." And Sandra's been on the board, and Sandra's wonderful. And that was just somebody who I met at a table.
Mm.
Other people I've met at tables who have come to our events, and we've done bits of potentially we're doing work with and feeding into projects. So I think just the people you meet through u.lab are nice, good people, and yeah, those are good contacts. And I think now the way some of the work is developing, particularly the work around door to people in rural communities, whatever happens, something will follow on from that. And there's people we've met through u.lab who are going to be part of that, and I think as soon as that begins to open out, u.lab and that network is one of the places we know we'll find people who we can work with in rural areas all over Scotland. So that sense of it, the people you meet through u.lab are wonderful.